This looked a really nice fish again, but I've already smoked about 10 minutes ago. It's another big fish. Really big. Oh, that reel guy. Hey everyone, my name's Luke and welcome to another episode of Endless Seas Fishing. I'm glad to have you along today and I hope you really enjoy this one. It's a continuation, part 2 of last week's episode. Fishing a shipwreck, jigging some lures and hooking into some absolute monsters. If you didn't see last week, make sure you check it out. Massive cobia, big diamond trevally, and the action continues this week. Stay all the way to the end, and as promised, I'll be walking you through the rod and reel and all the gear that I was using, lures and the method and techniques. So hope you enjoy and I'll see you at the end. There's this vanquish. I love this rod. Wow. Huge diamond. Check that beast out. There he is. There he is. Look at that. What a beast. Slaying the diamonds today. Get him in. Quick video and we'll get him back in the water. Great fish. Smarky vanquish. 30-pound Taz line. Woo! What a beauty. Get him back in. There he goes. Absolutely slaying diamonds on this light PE 1 to 2.5 rod. If you're watching Smarky, maybe send out a few rods for me to buckle over. Where's Mr. 20 kilo cobia? I'm looking for chew. Yep, that's a good fish. Come on. Come on. Full on feathering this the whole way. Oh. There we go. It's a big fish. It hasn't reefed me already, no. Oh, it's been a good day so far. Look at the bend in that rod. Oh. Yeah, this is a huge diamond. I've given up. There we go. Oh, big fish. Come on. Come on. It's not moving much. Come on. Very, very weighty. I see colour now. Oh, my arms and everything's wobbly now. It's going to be a huge diamond. If I hooked it or something. Yeah, fat hook. Come on, buddy. There he is. Look at that reef. See if I can actually. There he is. What a beautiful diamond. Let's watch him swim away. Ew. There we go. So as promised, I'm going to walk you through all the fishing equipment I was using for this outing. Start off with the rod. So this is a Sammy Vanquish. It's a 6-foot model, a jigging rod, and it's a PE 1 to 2.5. So it is relatively light duty. I originally bought this rod for catching sweetlip, grassy sweetlip and things like that, but it's absolutely surprisingly turned into an absolute monster slayer. I've caught countless massive cobia, Spanish mackerels, finger mark. It's an awesome finger mark, but anyways, yeah, big fish have been caught on this light rod, and as you'd seen in this episode we had and last week, it gets some bend in it from those fish, but you do get them up as long as there's no sharks around. I've even caught sharks. Maybe I can find some old footage and I'll roll that for you now.
eat. Not bad.
I didn't really use the boat much, hey? It was like all rod.
So yeah, some big fish, but jigging rod. A jigging rod usually entails, we call it a slow taper rod. So the rod actually bends quite close to the handle rather than the second half. A fast taper is when you get more bend at the front, where a slow taper, it bends back here. The beauty of that is, because jigging is generally quite vertical fishing, you can have the rod leaning on your waist and the rod can bend right over without snapping, where if it was a fast taper, like a casting rod, that's going to be too much curvature for it straight down. A fast taper is like for pulling a fish in from far away, like a marlin or a Spanish or a tuna, where you've cast out a GT, you've hooked it and you're winding it to the boat. Where jigging or bottom bashing, we're actually pulling them from the bottom, so vertical, and that's where a jigging rod comes in handy, well, so I believe anyways. I like to get a lot of pressure on the fish by having it on my waist and being able to, yeah, just pull it up without worrying about it breaking. Sometimes if the fish is going to go under the boat, I still got to put it under my arm just so it doesn't go. You can't have your rod tip bending back this way, obviously any rod will break like that. And generally a jigging rod will have quite a long butt on it. That is not for extra casting, it's actually just for leverage when you're winding. So yeah, that's the rod I use. Brilliant rod, I love it. This is my favorite rod. You could jig with it all day, fish with it all day, not get tired because it's light and it still pulls the big fish in. We got a 6000 Shimano Saragossa here. Awesome reel. So at the time, the reel I was using had 30-pound Tasline, and it still has it, but I actually picked up another Saragossa, the same size model, secondhand, which came with braid already. I don't know what brand it is, I think maybe J braid because it's coloured, but it's actually 50-pound. So I've actually found the 50-pound, it is better for those big fish. You have more ability to feather the spool, and by that I mean like locking it or slightly touching it just to put that more pressure on the fish without worrying about your line snapping. 50-pound, roughly estimation is you can halve it, so about 25 kilos, where 30-pound is 15 kilos. So there's a lot more strength by going up to 50. Very smooth reel, very powerful. It's quite lightweight. It's perfectly matched with this setup. I have a Shimano Stella 8000, and to be honest, if you have the money, they're excellent reels. They're awesome, but I don't really rate it. The price doesn't justify being better than one of these. I use this way more than my Stella, and it's actually, the two Saragossas I have are in better condition than the Stella, despite the Stella not being used very often. The Stella has bearings everywhere, super smooth, but bearings obviously with salt water is not a good mix, so the handle on the Stella it needs a new bearing. I've got to send it away, and the roller bearing. Yep, so that's my rod, that's my reel. The rod actually has, because it's a slow taper, it's actually it's not very harsh on the hookup, and I think because of that you don't pull a lot of hooks, where a fast taper rod, if it's loading up very quickly on the tip, it puts a lot of pressure. You set those hooks easy, but you also may rip those hooks out, so it's just something to consider. It's personal preference at times, fast or slow taper, but I've found for the vertical fishing with lures, I've been loving this slow taper rod. That's the rod, that's the reel. This may come as a surprise to some, but the leader that I use, I have changed over the years, gone back and forwards between expensive and non-expensive, but I've actually just been using this Jarvis Walker 50-pound bulk line. You get it from Big W, sometimes at Kmart. Costs you about $6 I think, and you get 220 meters. And I catch massive cobia, diamond, trevally, finger marks, you name it, everything on that, and it does not snap. I've tried many other brands, some that $30, $40 just to get you 50 meters. Some are really good, but obviously it gets more expensive. And other ones, even though you pay the price, I've had issues with them snapping, or they're a lot thinner diameter, so they wear through quicker, and on reef, things like that. So $6 bulk spool, 50-pound Jarvis Walker in that color, not the blue color, it's like a gray green. That's been excellent. These are the lures I've been using. So we got 7-inch Z-Man. They're scented. Cobia, just love them, and a lot of other fish. I've probably diversified the types of lures I use these days, including my own soft outlaw vibes that I've been selling. Yeah, just been using those quite a lot actually for fish, but 7-inch Z-Mans and a TT jig head. My go-to is a 1.5 ounce jig head 8.0 hook. Really good quality, and the keeper, this little lead thing here, helps the plastic stay on. They're quite strong, they handle big cobia. TT jig heads and the 7-inch Z-Man. They come in various colors. Yeah, I guess it's whatever your preference is. I like to use white ones, and then I have a range of other colors as well. I'm just going to give you a demo how I hook them up. I find this is the best way to get the most action out of this thing wriggling. So you could thread the lure the whole way through like this, but I actually don't thread it the whole way. You'll notice on the underside there's a bit of a flap here, an opening. So what I do is I stab this through the tip until it enters the start of that flap or that opening, and I just poke the hook out there, and I slide it on all the way, so the hook's still sitting there, but the hook is actually only in the front. It's not fixed at that point. I hope that makes sense, but by having it like that, the lure has the entire body can wriggle. And you'll see it when you're winding it through the water. It has an amazing wriggling action, where if I threaded it all the way to the hook and it was fixed there, you're only getting the back of that tail instead of the whole body moving. With the whole body moving, it wriggles a bit like a snake in the water. So that's what I do. So we've gone through my rod, my reel, the lures that I use for big cobia, diamond, trevally, the line. Now we're going to go through technique. Technique's pretty simple. You know of a wreck, or you find a wreck or patch of reef. What I do is I drive up current and I let the boat drift over the structure, whether it's a wreck or a reef. So I drive up and I'll drop my lures down to the bottom, and then as we're drifting, simply just popping the lure off the bottom. Sometimes I might give it 2, let it sink back down. Sometimes gotta let some line out because the boat's moving quite fast, and you're simply just hopping it. Sometimes I'll pause it, just give it a little wriggle, hop it up again, And yeah, that's how I hook the cobia, that's how I hook the diamond, trevally and many other species. Sometimes you'll find the boat is drifting way faster than your lure and you got to keep letting line out and you're not really getting that vertical fishing effect. Your lure's escaping. So one little trick that I have to slow the boat down is I use what they call it a sea anchor, I think. I call it a parachute. So you tie this to the back of your boat with a length of rope and you throw it out in the water and it's pretty much a parachute. So as the boat's drifting away, this parachute gets left behind, but as the boat's moving then it starts scooping the water. And so it's gonna like pull the boat and slow the boat's drifting. Warning though, having this out in the water, you don't want it to be too far out and it can become in the way when you hook a big fish, or you don't want it to get tangled on that. And also it will alter the direction of your drift. So if you've been drifting the same sort of pattern, if you throw this out, it will alter its path a little bit. But excellent to slow down that drift. My friend Paul Hicks from Older is Optional, he likes to call it my handbag and tease me a bit about it, but it's a great bit of gear and I recommend getting it if you're getting into some drift lure fishing. Thanks for watching another episode of Endless Seas Fishing. I hope you enjoyed that one, the content with the fishing, and hopefully my explanations on the rod and reel and gear was helpful for you. Don't know everything, but that's what I use, and if you'd like to take some of those methods and techniques and tips and put them to practice, that's great. Thanks for watching another episode of Endless Seas Fishing. Hope you enjoyed that one, the content and a few pointers on the gear that I'm using. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. We'd love to hear some feedback. And until next time, happy fishing, and I'll see you next week in the next episode.